What happens if China starts exacting retribution on the United States? They've already begun doing it. China cut $690 billion in imports. Yes, $690 billion. This measure will serve as a reminder to the U.S. of who has power. But can the United States even survive this? Or has China finally achieved what the rest of the world can only dream of? Let us find out. What happens if the world's largest buyer of your crops decides you're no longer their first choice? You scramble, that is what. For years, American farmers took solace in knowing that China was their golden ticket. The United States was the soybean king, and China was a faithful customer. However, China is now reducing back. Fast. From 40% of U.S. soybean imports in 2016 to just 18% by 2024. That is hardly a tiny change. That is a full upheaval. And guess what? Brazil is stepping in. So now what? Farmers in the United States are gazing at the wreckage of decades of trade and wondering where to go next. Bankruptcies, job losses, and financial disasters are common in states such as Iowa and Nebraska. The U.S. agriculture industry, a pillar of the economy for years, is now fighting for survival. And while there is some hope that other markets may step up, no one can match China's overwhelming purchasing power. States used to be the world's leading soybean exporter. Brazilian soybean shipments overtook those of the United States for the first time in 2013. Since then, Brazil's share in the global soybean trade has increased, with soybean exports expected to reach a record 3.7 billion bushels by 2023. During the same year, American soybean exports were decreased to 1.8 billion bushels, which was only half the Brazilian soybean export volume. However, the repercussions aren't limited to rural America. The interruption in the U.S. soybean trade is affecting adjacent sectors across the board. Machinery manufacturers, logistics firms, and even small enterprises that rely on commerce to stay alive face substantial hurdles. When a significant trading partner such as China pulls away, the entire supply chain collapses. And this is only the beginning. Let's stand back and look at the big picture. While China is moving away from U.S. agriculture, it is also building connections with other countries. Brazil, for example, is already experiencing the benefits. China is not just seeking new markets, but also investing in new technology and infrastructure to boost its agricultural industry. This is not just a momentary setback. This marks a long-term shift in China's trade and investment policy. So, if China can move away from soybeans, what about technology? How can the United States maintain its supremacy in the semiconductor business while China focuses on being self-sufficient? What happens when tariffs threaten your technical future and your reliance on a competitor's products turns into a liability? You make a choice. You are innovative. And this is exactly what China is doing. For years, the United States ruled the semiconductor industry, dominating the market and driving the tech narrative. But with taxes on Chinese goods, China isn't sitting on its hands. They're doubling down on technological independence. The Made in China 2025 project is currently in full swing, and China's IT behemoths are now on a drive to manufacture their chips. Not to add that they have already begun reducing imports of U.S. chips, such as Qualcomm and Micron goods. The U.S. believed it could leverage its dominance in this sector to its advantage in the current trade battle with China. Instead, it sent China into overdrive. China is not just strengthening its semiconductor skills, but also establishing itself as a future technological leader. With the emergence of 5G, AI, and other innovative technologies, semiconductors have become the lifeblood of modern economies. As China improves its chips, the United States fears losing its dominance in one of the world's most important sectors. You'd think this would damage China, right? However, it is the United States that is suffering the consequences. As China seeks to build its own processors, demand for U.S. technology falls. This is more than just losing some revenue. This is about losing supremacy in the world's most crucial market. Consider if China completely builds its technology ecosystem. The United States might transition from a tech leader to a tech follower. The stakes are tremendous, and China will not back down. By expanding its semiconductor sector, China ensures that it is not exposed to future tariffs or trade disputes with the United States. It has two purposes. One is that President Xi has shown great anxiety about China's high-tech constraints imposed by Western nations. In his own words, China still has limitations in terms of chips, new materials, machine tools, and so on. And all of this is critical for China's military modernization, since the PLA will celebrate its centennial in 2027. So no one can predict what will happen in the future, but I believe President Xi is motivated to do this. It's also sending a powerful statement to the world. China isn't merely a consumer of U.S. technology. It is emerging as a major worldwide competitor. So what about energy? Before we go any further, tell us whether you're enjoying the video. If so, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos on global geopolitics. Let us proceed immediately. China has been discreetly moving away from U.S. energy. Instead of depending on U.S. LNG, China is developing extensive energy connections with Russia and Qatar. In 2024, China struck a historic 30-year natural gas agreement with Russia. Yes, 30 years. That is not a fluke. That is a strategy. Let's not forget China's $60 billion LNG contract with Qatar. It's not just about obtaining cheaper electricity. It is about breaking ties with the United States and ensuring a future in which China controls its energy destiny. For the United States, this is a nightmare. America has long had a competitive advantage in the global LNG industry, but as China diversifies, U.S. energy corporations are seeing their market share diminish. This is not only an economic shift, this is a geopolitical plan in motion. By lowering its dependency on U.S. energy, China assures that it is not exposed to future political pressure or price increases from the U.S. It's shrewd, strategic, and has the U.S. scurrying. This isn't just about energy. It is about China exerting its dominance over a market that the United States formerly controlled. Energy is power, and China is working swiftly to take it away from the United States. The ripple effects are already being seen in the U.S. energy industry, and they will only become stronger. But this energy change is only one part of the issue. China's expanding global power involves more than simply oil and gas. It's about restructuring trade and threatening the U.S.'s supremacy. Let's look at how China is creating a new international order, one trade deal at a time. China's commercial ties with countries throughout the world are strengthening by the day. Brazil? Check. Russia? Check. Africa? Check. The Belt and Road Initiative is the foundation of China's vision for establishing a new, multipolar world. China is investing not only in infrastructure, but also in relationships. Brazil's trade with China exceeded $50 billion in 2023. And Africa? China's influence is increasing by the minute. The United States was previously the dominant player in these regions, but China has now taken the lead. And it's not just about money. China is intelligent. They're not just making deals. They are ensuring that these regions are never dependent on the United States again. By developing these trade links, China is paving the way for the United States to become the world's next economic powerhouse. It has been left behind, watching while China creates a new trading order from the ground up. China is no longer only a commercial partner. It is a worldwide influencer, a force that shapes international relations. And let us be clear, this is not simply about economics. China is also cultivating soft power. It is forming allies, increasing its influence, and establishing itself as a leader in a new multipolar international order. So can the U.S. beat China? The U.S.-China trade war, spurred by tariffs and protectionist measures, has caused more havoc than anybody expected. The United States anticipated that by imposing taxes on Chinese imports, it might force China to comply. But what's the reality? China is doing absolutely fine. China is prospering. In contrast, the United States is rapidly losing ground. Farmers are hurting, software businesses are struggling, and U.S. energy providers are seeing consumers leave. The truth is that the U.S. overestimated China's resilience. While the United States is striving to catch up, China is already planning 5 moves ahead. And it's more than simply commerce. It's about global dominance. The United States may have initiated the trade war, but China is gearing itself to win. Finally, China's $690 billion import cut is more than simply a trade issue. It's a wake-up call to the United States and the rest of the globe. From agriculture to technology to energy, China is altering global commerce and decreasing its reliance on the United States. It is more than simply a market change. It is also a power shift. We'd want to take a minute to thank you everyone for your comments and ideas. Your thoughts have always impressed us. With China on the rise and the United States trapped in the past, what will happen next? Will the United States fight back, or will it fall behind China? Let us know in the comments section. Would you want to see more videos like this one? If so, please like, share, and subscribe. Until the next video, stay tuned.